At least 10 demonstrators were shot dead during tax protests in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, on Tuesday, as the protests against this tax legislation turned violent, as the police stepped in. The protesters demanded the resignation of President William Ruto over these proposed tax hikes. Protesters vowed to reject outright the government's new finance bill to raise taxes and lighten debt costs. The Kenyan police have opened fire on demonstrators trying to storm Kenya's legislature, and sections of the parliament building were set ablaze. The police, in fact, opened fire with tear gas and water cannons, failed to disperse the crowds who were storming the parliament compound. Similar visuals came from President Ruto's hometown in western Kenya, where protesters filled the streets and many businesses were closed over fear of violence, while the Kenyan police fired tear gas to disperse the angry crowds in Eldoret. In another development, the Kenyan authorities have threatened to shut down a private broadcast, in fact all private broadcasters, over the coverage of the nationwide protests against new tax measures. Isabel Nakira, DD India's correspondent in Kampala, joins us now. Isabel, what made the police resort to firing? What is being done to the wounded?
I think what began as peaceful protests quickly escalated into violence and chaos in different parts of Kenya. I think it all erupted when the thousands of protesters stormed Parliament and destroyed a lot of property. Chairs were broken and flags of the national flag was brought down. And of course, a section of Parliament was put on fire. We're also hearing that in different constituencies, including Embu and Kikuyu, just outside Nairobi, government buildings have been put on fire. And of course, the police truck in several areas have been torched. And of course, this triggered the police to open fire on protesters, killing some of them. We are told close to 10 people are dead and several injured. And the Red Cross tent that was handling the emergencies was also attacked, and their volunteers were injured. And this is where many of the injured people were being taken before finally being transported to the main hospitals. And so the police had to calm down forcefully on protesters. We hear that the military has also been asked to join into and help the police to try and quell these protests and bring it down, and before it escalates further. Right. President Ruto, we are told, he's making his way to the presidential lodge, and he'll be putting out a statement in a few minutes.
Indeed. Does the president actually have the power to overrule the finance bill? Because that's what people are asking, and are there any other corrective measures that can be taken?
I think President Ruto still has a lot of time to bring a number of reforms to this law that has caused all these protests. Yesterday, he was at a church service somewhere outside Nairobi, and he made it clear that he's open to discussions with the protesters. So we believe that he's going to sit down and rethink a move to repeal some of these laws. And we also understand that his ruling party, Azimio, members of parliament today, put a stop to some of these reforms on the laws. Okay. And of course, the Treasury warned that putting a stop to some of these laws would bring a shortfall of over $1.5 billion to the economy.
Isabel Nakira in Kampala, thanks very much.